You can tell a lot about where someone is headed just by watching where their energy goes. In classical Chinese fit reading thought, there's a way of looking at a person's life called the four virtues: heavenly virtue, monthly virtue, Taiji, and heavenly grace. In a traditional birth chart, these are seen as god of luck, the hand you are dealt at birth. But if you look at them through the lens of real life, they aren't just the symbols of fortune. They map out how a person's energy either holds together or leaks away. And whether you were born with them or not turns out to matter a lot less than people think. These aren't just the things you have, they are things you build. Let's start with heavenly virtue. People hear parental support and immediately think of money or inheritance. But what this actually describes is whether you were ever given permissions to fail. There's a massive gap between someone who grew up knowing mistakes were survivable and someone who learned early on that one wrong move could cost them everything. Both might be equally talented, but one plays offense, while the other spends their whole life playing not to lose. Psychology calls this secure attachment. It's the internal steadiness you carry into adulthood because someone stayed steady for you when you were small. This shows up in weight loss more clearly than almost everywhere else. So many people struggle not because they eat too much, but because they've been running on survival stress for years. When your body senses the environment is unsafe, your cortisol stays spiked, and the whole system shifts into conservation mode. It stops burning and starts storing. That isn't a failure of willpower. It's an ancient survival program doing exactly what it was built to do. When your foundation is hollow, all of your energy goes into proving you are okay rather than you actually growing. You become a leaking bucket. If that foundation wasn't built for you, the work becomes parenting yourself. It's not about soft self-compassion. It's about breaking the habit of treating everything setback as evidence that you've done. When you stop needing everything to go perfectly just to feel like you are allowed to keep going, the ground floor finally settles. Once that's in place, you hit the next layer, monthly virtue. If the first layer comes from the people who raised you, this one comes from the people beside you. We dramatically underestimate how much the people will spend time with recalibrate our norm. You can spend a decade trying to change and fail repeatedly, then move into a different circle and shift within months, not because you found a bad method, but because your behavioral baseline changed. In a circle where discipline is the norm, indulgence is the thing that needs explaining. The pressure reverses. The merchant communities that built multi-generational wealth understood this instinctively. They didn't just share money. They built systems where the momentum was communal. One person rises and pulls the rest with them. The opposite is just as true. A group where nobody is allowed to change will find ways to pull you back down. If you are struggling to change your life or your body, check your environment. Finding the right people is more important than finding the right plan. But after all of that, the foundation and the environment, what actually determines if you are getting from carrying 40 extra pounds to losing them or climb back from a real low point, is Taiji. This is one of you can't borrow. Most of our drive is triggered from the outside. A deadline, a number on a scale, someone's approval. That works fine as long as things are going well. But the moment the feedback stops, when the scale hasn't moved in weeks and nobody is cheering, you find out if there is actually an engine running underneath. The hardest stretch of any real change isn't the beginning. It's the vacuum phase, that middle ground where the novelty is gone and the results are invisible. What carries you through that isn't motivation. Motivation burned off ages ago. It's a quiet, internal order. It's knowing what it feels like to be on track and sensing when you've drifted, simply because you can feel it in your gut. Marcus Aurelius talked about this, the idea that a disciplined person isn't fighting their nature. They've just built an internal rhythm that doesn't need constant fuel from the outside. That's Taiji. It's the excess that spins even when the world is quiet. Which brings us to heaven grace. This is hardest one to explain without sounding like you are talking about luck. Everyone has a story about the moment where something they couldn't have planned for shifted everything. Most people call it luck, but luck doesn't explain why this moment clusters around certain people. The Taiji says that the person who isn't fighting for position ends up somewhere nobody can displace them. When you stop performing and stop calculating every move, that's exactly when the kind of help that can't be manufactured tends to show up. People extend themselves through those who trust, not just those who impress them. Trust forms in the dark. When you handle things the right way with no audience and nothing immediately on the line, the reputation that opens the real door isn't the one you tried to build. It's the one that accumulated on its own through 1,000 small, honest choices. That's Carol credibility. It's not a jackpot. It's a return on investment most people don't even realize they are making. When you put this together, the map is clear. Heavenly virtue is the floor. It's whether you can handle failure. Monthly virtue is the wind at your back. It's the people who multiply your effort. Taiji is the engine. It's what keeps you moving when nobody is pushing. And the heavenly grace is the harvest. It's the world returning the favor because you have been operating cleanly for a long time. Where any one of these layers thing, that's where you get stuck. It isn't usually a lack of effort. It's a gap in the structure. And none of this is fixed at a burst. It's growing, one meal at a time, one decision at a time, one moment of doing the right things where it could have been easier not to. That's true for your body, and it's true for your life. A good life isn't something that happens to you. It's something you grow into.